We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Winchell. How are you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. We have a lot of things to talk about. Let's get a quick overview before we jump into it. We're going to start with some Tesla stuff as usual. We are not that much Tesla news this week, so those that are getting bored of that are going to be happy. Just three little news articles, mainly about the Robotaxi and autonomous driving effort that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about the competitor to that effort, which is Waymo, that had a big week of announcement from Waymo here. It's accelerating its expansion quite a bit. Then we checked out the Porsche Cayenne EV in all its details after you had like a prototype review of that a few months ago, right?
That was Peter. He was in Leipzig in Germany for that. I helped him write it up.
Okay. Then we have the Jeep Recon EV that was unveiled this week, an off-road vehicle from Stellantis. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the Gravity Touring, which is a lower-end version of the Gravity that was just launched this week. So we have the pricing on that and all the specs. Then Genesis is coming up with his GV60 Magma. It's a new performance, basically like an Ioniq 5N, but with the Genesis twist to it. Then staying with Hyundai Genesis, we have a new off-road concept EV that was unveiled by them. And then I'm going to end the show, well, not end the show, but before we go to the Q&A session, talk about a big article I've been working on all week, and I just posted this morning. And I'm glad I did, because it was a little bit different for me. It's kind of an op-ed about sort of a realization that I had while I was in China last week about the new base layer of economy that I think is going to go through electricity going forward. And I'm glad I did post it up, because I've received, if I can say so myself, great feedback on it. A lot of people have kind of opened up something in their mind about a new way of thinking about this. So I'm glad we did. So we're going to discuss a little bit on the podcast, and we can get you guys' thoughts on it too. And at the end, obviously, we do the Q&A, which I'm going to remind you of halfway through the show as more people join the live show. Let's start with the Robotaxi. So one thing that's nice about, even though we say that the Robotaxi in Texas is mostly about optics, it's Tesla trying to get a win. We don't see a major improvement over the consumer version of FSD. It's very similar. It's just that the big difference is that Tesla moved the safety monitor from the driver's seat to the passenger seat, and that we feel like it's purely for optics, because for safety reason, if you're going to have a safety monitor, it might as well be in the driver's seat, more options to intervene quicker. But the only advantage that gives us is that by doing that, Tesla is moving officially from the driver assistance system classification to the autonomous driving system classification. And now we can have a slightly better idea of the accident rate of this specific system, because with the other system, the ADAS, Tesla has thousands of accidents in there, and they are harder to track because Tesla redacts a bunch of information on it. It is still redacted for the Robotaxi ADAS crash that they have to report to NHTSA, but because there are fewer of those, and they are purely for Robotaxi in Austin, Texas, we were able last month to have an actual pretty close estimate of the Robotaxi crash rate, because Tesla had shared the mileage, which was 250,000 miles at the time, and we had three official crashes. Was it three? Yeah, July. Yeah, three official crashes. So that was adding up to, was it four at the time? No, there was a fourth one that happened after that, and when you divided the total mileage, that it added up to 62,000 miles between crashes, which we could compare with Waymo's system, which obviously is not a great comparison because Tesla still has the operator inside the car with a finger or the kill switch. So these guys do prevent a bunch of further crashes, and we don't know how many. So it's useful, but not perfect either. But we had a big update this week, so Tesla ended up reporting 3 more crashes. Yeah, 3 more crashes, for now a total of 7 crashes reported over the course of the last few months of operation in Austin. We don't have an updated mileage on that. I mean, we can summarize that Tesla is probably between 280, 300 miles if we just divided the weeks of operation. If we divide the 250 miles that they gave us last month by the weeks of operation, and then we add the few more weeks that happened since there. So the crash rate is obviously increasing and not decreasing, which is problematic. Now, there's one thing that I want to emphasize on this is that Tesla is definitely not responsible for all these accidents. It's clear. And then in these 3 new ones that were reported, there's one that Tesla does sound responsible, again, based on the limited data that we have, because it was between a passenger car that was backing up and Tesla was moving straight, proceeding straight. So it looks like Tesla did run into a car that was backing up. The other ones are with a cyclist where it mentioned that the pre-movement was stopped. So maybe it's a bike that ran into the car. I don't know. And then the same thing with an animal, which sounds a little bit more weird. Like an animal just ran into a stop Tesla Robotaxi. I don't know. The thing why we don't know is because of Tesla. It's because of this section here. If you're watching on the screen, I have all the crash reporting data that Tesla released. The narrative, which explains in details what happened with the crash, is redacted for Tesla. All of the accident, they redacted that data. Now, Tesla is the only automaker that does that. All the other automakers have a clear narrative of what happened. And for example, Waymo has way more crashes than Tesla, also has way more mileage than Tesla, obviously. But most of Waymo's crashes, you read the narrative, you look at the data that they release, and it's like, yeah, it looks like it's not the Waymo's fault. Some accidents are inevitable, especially if you're going to drive tens of millions of miles, which is what Waymo is doing. Now, with Tesla's issue here is that 300,000 miles is not that much. 300,000 miles, normally, human drivers have no accidents or maybe one minor accident. Tesla had 7 with a supervisor preventing further accidents. So it's definitely not a good look for Tesla. And the fact that they're redacting the narrative, they are the one at fault, where we cannot say, oh, they're not responsible, because we don't even know. So again, we would appreciate if Tesla was more open with transparency and building confidence in the system by releasing more data, but we don't see that for an automaker. At the same time, this week, Tesla was submitting its comment for the new autonomous driving rules in California, along with Waymo and Uber, and the 3 leader in the field right now are really not in agreement about the new rules. So Waymo was actually pushing California to force Tesla, if they're going to launch something called Robotaxi in the Bay Area, as they did, to report their disengagement and intervention rate. Because they say it's only fair. And Tesla itself insists, hey, our Robotaxi service is Robotaxi only in name, and it's actually a level 2 assist system, just like FSD in consumer vehicle, and we're not forced to report intervention that's in our consumer FSD vehicles. So they're like, we don't want to do that. Then Uber wanted to change a bit the rules on what you can call a Robotaxi, not what a Robotaxi, to highlight that a little bit, and Tesla pushed back against that too. So Tesla basically let us operate in the shadows as long as we can, was the message to California, which again doesn't build confidence into something that's potentially really dangerous. And another thing that happened in California with Robotaxi this week is that one of the safety drivers was spotted sleeping on the job, literally in the middle of a drive. So this was posted by a Redditor who said that it happened 3 times during the trip. And the third time he filmed it here for about 10 seconds. You can see that the driver is completely asleep, and he gets, to be fair, he gets woken up by the driver assistance system, like the FSD is telling him, hey, you have to apply torque, or lift your head so that the camera sees your eyes. But honestly, 10 seconds of sleeping before that is kind of seems like a flaw in the system. I've had a lot of other system set where detect my drowsiness way before I would ever like nod off completely. Like they would see like the slower blinking. They detect things like that. I really like the Volvo system. I don't know about you, but the Volvo system was pretty good. They caught me at one time where I was really tired in Sweden on the road, and it was like, hey, you look like you're getting tired. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually am an expert with the Tesla, at least the hardware 3 sleep detection. I've pushed it as far as it can go quite a bit. In fact, because I know that it's okay at this, I've let myself drive in conditions where I wouldn't normally drive.
Push yourself further because you think it's gonna
it's going to do two things. It's going to stay in the lane and not hit the car in front of me, but also it's going to wake me up if I do nod off, which hopefully I won't. But
that's not ideal.
It's not ideal. I know it's not ideal, but because I do end up doing a lot of late night driving. I feel like the Tesla full self-driving system, even though it takes up to 10 seconds, like this guy is showing off here, those 10 seconds, you are in the lane, you are, theoretically on, if you're on the highway, it's a little bit more safer than not having that and just, kind of just driving off to the side of the road and into the ditch or across.
No, it's definitely safer than just falling asleep in a car that doesn't have that. But I do think that the point here is definitely like the driver monitoring system should kicking in a little bit sooner. Like a good 10 seconds of the guy is totally asleep there.
Yeah, and you don't want to, like, that 10 seconds, you're getting deeper and deeper into sleep.
Yeah.
It's not like, if it's like 1 second, you're not even asleep, so the wake up is going to be less jarring.
Yeah, exactly. It's jarring, so you wake up, and sometimes you will wake up and like, oh, you panic and you move the wheel, even though the car already had the control and was doing fine too. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So this is an issue. I went to a GM event last week where they were talking about how the Cadillac Escalade L, the longer Escalade in 2027 was going to have the Super Cruise or Ultra Cruise or whatever they're going to call it, where you don't have to look. You don't have to be looking out the front. And I was like, oh, cool. Like you can eat a snack, you can read a book. Can you go to sleep? And they're like, no, you can't go to sleep. And I'm like, well, why not? Like it requires 10 seconds for you to like get back. And I was like, 10 seconds, I can be in the back seat. And if you start beeping, I can get up to the front seat and in the thing in 10 seconds. And they're like, no, that's not what we're doing at all. And I'm like, okay, well, that would be a product I would buy. And, but the idea is like, they're not ready to let people sleep in the car yet. There's nothing planned for that. But that is
I
the goal.
understand it. I understand the reticence to it. Like I get, like, so it's basically a level 3, but with they want you to stay sharp in case the takeover is less than 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what we all want, I know what I want, is that I want to be like deep in sleep, like for hours. Like I want like 2 or 3 hours of deep sleep while this thing's just on the highway doing its thing. That's the end goal.
No, obviously, I'm with you with that. Especially these days now, like it's starting to get cold. There's nothing that puts me to sleep more than when it's cold outside and your car is warm. I don't know why. It's like a trigger for me.
Dark outside, the sun's
dark
low.
outside too. Yeah, it's it puts me to sleep real quick. So I would love to be able to just wake up at the destination, but we're not there yet. And the Tesla FSD V14, great improvement. Super, like it will do it most of the time. You could technically fall asleep and it will get you to the destination, but it will crash at a higher rate than a human without supervision. It's as simple as that. I know that Tesla is quick to say, hey, we are safer than human drivers. Like, no, that's, first of all, there's plenty of other problems with your data, with the self-reporting versus police report and all that. But it's all the main problem with data is that it's not FSD versus human. It's FSD plus human supervision against human. And then, it's a lot easier to be better than just human if you have both of them combined, plus the most of the time, I would hope, heightened attention from the human. At least for my part, when I'm using FSD, I have heightened attention, not lower attention. All right. Now, the last piece of Tesla news before we move on, it's about the AI5 chip. So the AI5 chip was supposed to come in 2026. At first, the rollout was, at one point, they even talked about 2025, I think. Originally was the first timeline as of last year was the second half of 2025, was pushed into 2026. And now Elon has commented this week and said AI5 will not be available in sufficient volume to switch over Tesla production lines until mid-2027, as we need several hundred of thousands of completed AI5 boards line side. So basically, it's like we won't switch our vehicle programs to AI5 until mid 2027 because yes, production is going to start next year, but and production is going to come from Samsung and I keep forgetting the name of it. TMSC, or I'm confusing the letters. I think I got all the letters right, but sometimes they jumble up. But anyway, the big Taiwan semiconductor company, and Samsung Silicon are going to be producing those starting next year, ramping up into 2027. When they have enough capacity to get into the production lines, they will. What that does mean? Well, I mean, there's two things that means. First of all, it's kind of good news for AI4 people because that means that Tesla will have to focus its FSD effort on that for a longer period of time. Otherwise, we know what happened to the last chip after Tesla moved on to another chip. The best example being Hardware 3, which hasn't had a significant update in a little bit more than a year now. I would say there was minor updates, but nothing significant since. So the performance is not improving one bit. It's almost a year now since Elon admitted that Hardware 3 will not support unsupervised self-driving. But since then, there's been no plan to make it right to customers. And in fact, the only thing we had was last month, Ashok saying that, or was that Ashok or was the CFO? I don't remember who said it, but one of them said that they're not giving up on it. And by that, they mean that sometime next year, they're going to release a mini FSD V14 update. So their solution right now is that we'll give you a mini version of something that is still not what we promised. So not a great situation for people. And that would be exactly where AI4 is going towards next year. But a little reprieve, it sounds like. It's going to be until 2027. So Tesla, I have serious doubt that Tesla is going to deliver on supervised self-driving to the consumers. At least I think they're going to keep doing versions of it in geofence area like the Robotaxi thing. But for consumers that paid for FSD long time ago, whether they have i3 or i4 cars, I would be shocked if in 2026 Tesla release level 4 autonomy as promised. But FSD will most likely improve more now that AI5 has been delayed into 2027. The other interesting thing is that Cybercab, which my main hope for Cybercab is that if it launched with AI5, it has a little bit more potential to achieve unsupervised self-driving capabilities, especially since it's supposed to not have pedals and steering wheel. It kind of needs it. Otherwise, it's a useless brick. But now that would, if Elon last quarter said Tesla is aiming to start production of Cybercab in Q2 of 2026. So that's a full year before they have volume production of AI5. So that would make it launch with AI4 unless they go very low production and they have AI5 by then. I don't know. But it does point to Cybercab launching with AI4, which almost guaranteed that it will launch with steering wheel and pedals, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's going to be useless. And Robin Delhomme, Tesla's chairwoman, did hint at that. They said we are planning to do that if we are not ready by then, which, you're not going to be ready. So that's kind of an admission that will be. But then Elon, a week later, shut that down. They were like, no, we won't launch it with pedals and steering wheel. But we'll see. We'll see if Elon is still confident about that in the next few months. All right, we're going to move on from Tesla news. And then at the end, we're going to take you guys' comments. I see we are already plenty of you guys commenting and being online right now. We see Carl and Sinigo is there. We see Antonio is there. Dying Bang Darren Coins is there. We're gonna take your guys' comments at the end, so it can be about anything that we talked about today, or any other topics in the EV world or energy world that you want or take on. You can put them in the comment section right now, and I get to it at the end of the show. But let's move on with Waymo. Waymo had a big week of expansion. They had 2 separate announcements throughout the week. 5 new cities, and then 3 new cities was announced yesterday. The increasing here, we have the full list here. So right now, they operate in Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, Phoenix, and San Francisco. All these markets have commercial Waymo operation that are rider only, no one in the car other than you ordering from the app. Then this is the city where they are planning to launch soon, but a few of them were announced this week that they're starting the official operation, not with the commercial just yet, but the commercial is going to launch in the early next year. So in the next few months, really. So that included Dallas, Houston, Miami, Minneapolis, New Orleans, San Antonio, and Tampa, I think, was on the list too, right? Tampa. The other ones in that list are mainly Orlando. Sorry, not Tampa, Orlando. Those are going to be on operation in the next few weeks, commercially early next year. And then the other ones in there: Washington, Tokyo, Seattle, San Diego, Nashville, Detroit, and Denver, Las Vegas too, I think, are being tested right now. So you might see Waymo vehicle on the road, but they are still in the testing phase. They haven't announced a commercial service just yet. But yeah, I mean, that's a long list of big cities.
Yeah, good ones too.
Yeah, and some that could use
New Orleans.
Yeah, new modes of transport. All right, let's talk about the Porsche Cayenne. So it's the new top of the line all-electric vehicle, one of the best-selling vehicle program at Porsche, and it comes with over 1,000 horsepower when you have the top of the line version, the turbo version. With also, I think you need to have launch mode activated for that. Design-wise, you have a significantly updated design from the previous generation of the Cayenne, a little bit more aggressive. Still a very similar look that we're used to, especially with the headlights and the overall shape, form factor of it.
It reminds me of a little bit of like a Hyundai or Genesis. I hate to say it.
Yeah, though we're going to see a Genesis later on the show that I have a way more reservation about the look than this. So yeah, 1,139 horsepower for a 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds and a top speed of 162 miles per hour. That's, again, with the launch mode, with the top version. You have 600 kilowatts of regen power from that when that version rolls. So technically, if you're going very fast and then you're braking very hard, or you're going downhill relatively fast, you're recharging the car at a supercharger level, over a supercharger level here. So that's impressive. Then you have the base model of the Cayenne EV that has 402 horsepower, 435 actually if you have launch mode on, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, which is still more than respectable for an SUV. And the top regions drop down to 345 kilowatts here, which is more than reasonable. All version of the Cayenne have a 113 kilowatt hour battery pack, quite a beefy pack there, for a WLTP of 399 miles. For the base version, and 387 for the little faster turbo. But obviously EP is going to be lower, but I guess not. It's going to be still both over 300 miles of range, so that's good. 800 volt charging technology for 10 to 80% in 16 minutes on 400 kilowatt stations. If you're stuck at a 200 kilowatt station, that's still 34 minutes, which is not bad. So they showed us a charging curve where it charged at 327 at 41%, which is not bad.
Yeah, it's really good.
Fact. NACS native for North America, also very good.
Yep. I mean,
Here,
I think it's just wild that we have, just an SUV with over 1,000 horsepower. Like that's
yeah,
just a crazy time to be alive.
and something that was also like more commonly known as a luxury vehicle more than a performance vehicle. I mean, you could Porsche mainly makes driver centric vehicles for sure, but the Cayenne is not what you think about when you talk about a performance Porsche.
So the electric model has.
I wonder how it'll do on the Nuremberg ring.
Did they make Jamie remove his shoes to get in the car?
Maybe he didn't bring shoes.
Jamie is like no shoesing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but Jamie was the one looking at the car this week, and he was impressed with the space in both the front and back. Oh, they have a whole wide background on the show floor there. That's why I think they removed the shoes. Not a Jamie choice, but he was impressed both the second row and front row space.
No third row though, huh?
No. I mean, they're not quite there. We have the front space here, nothing too big, but apparently pretty deep. Then the storage also underfloor at the back that adds you a little bit more space to fit at least like mobile chargers or things like that. This is a pretty cool feature. Only the turbo version though, they have active aerial blades that come out of the air outtake at the back. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Probably a pretty good improvement on aerodynamics too from that. 20 or 22 inches wheel options. There's going to be 13 colors, 9 wheel options, 12 interior combinations. Yeah, I mean, Porsche is big on customization too.
Yeah, and like that's one thing I just can't understand why Tesla can't get outside of the, white, black, gray, red.
Especially for Model S and X and the higher end vehicles.
I mean, they used to have brown, like a nice yellow would be cool.
They kind of gave up on the Model S and X anyway. So
I know, but
I get why not do it on super high volume vehicles because it complicates production too much. But if you're gonna sell a $80,000 vehicle, like you can afford.
They should have a cool color of the year. Like let's make an orange 2027, or 2026, and then
that in China that's big. They love like having a lot of custom color option in China, like You see it with Xpeng now with Xiaomi. They offer a bunch of
Xiaomi
white
has
colors.
Great colors.
Yeah, great colors. Some of them are inspired by Porsche. The interior has this like weird like curve OLED display. JV had a good point about it though. He said that one of the good things about the curved display that we see here is that Porsche has CarPlay. And one of the problem with CarPlay is that sometimes it has a weird integration with the native system in the vehicle, which is still super useful for other things like climate controls and charging and whatnot. But with the curve system, you can have like CarPlay on top, CarPlay at the bottom, or vice, and the native infotainment system on the other part of the screen, so the top and bottom. So that's kind of separate more cleanly the two UI. I think that's pretty smart. Jimmy was also impressed with the heads-up display in the system. Yeah, it looks good, but
it's always hard to get a feel of a heads-up display from a video.
Yeah. No, I agree, but it's in one of the most like there's a lot of information, and you can see the field of view is quite big because that arrow for the right turn here was showing way early and more further to the left, and then got closer. I think you just missed the right turn. You have a closer look here at the curved display. Oh no, I think he's showing the roof here, right? Yeah. So that's the latest features. You have that in the Porsches and the Audis, where it's an electromagnetic roof, I guess.
It can go clear. Yep.
Electrochromic roof. Well,
neat trick.
I started my massage thing again on purpose. It doesn't stop.
Oh, that's worse than eating. Like you're having massages during the podcast.
Yeah, we're not professional at Electrek one bit. Yeah. All right, this is the headline grabbing feature about the Cayenne, even though I think most of us at Electrek agree that it's more gimmicky than anything else. Yep. Even though as an option, I don't mind whatsoever, and that's inductive wireless charging. Gonna be a 7,000 euro option on this, so it's quite expensive. And 11 kilowatt capability, so strong capability, 90% or so efficiency, which is not bad, but still 5%. Normally, when you plug in your car, it's about a 5% loss or something. So 5% more is it's double. It's a lot more. So it's something to think about. Like, you're wasting more energy doing it for what? For solving the problem of having to, when you get out of your car, where you're probably even walking back to your trunk anyway to grab something, you just like take your your charger, plug it in. Not a big deal. But I do understand, if someone's going to do it, might as well be Porsche, because
Right.
wealthy customers, they want to have like a clean looking, cool garage. Okay, well, they're going to invest. And 7,000 euros, I think that is just the system, I would assume.
I think so, yeah.
Because the installation on this thing probably expensive too, though it looks almost like it's just a mat that they put on the floor, so there's no need to integrate it to the ground, so maybe not as expensive as I would have thought. But then you're going to be driving over a cable or you can put one of those cable walkway on top of it.
Yeah.
It adds 33 pounds to the vehicle weight, though, because there's also something you need to add to the vehicle, so also not ideal. And yeah, it's solving a problem that's not really a big problem. That's the main thing. And then you're losing more power, and then it costs like literally 10 times more than that.
And you got a heavier car. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard, tough sell. I think they should just do like you have like a cable coming down and then like a magnet, that like clamps into a port. I mean, you could even have like a magnet going into a NACS port, where like you have like a dangling cable, and then you pull up. Like you don't need even the snake thing. You kind of just need like a little bit of guidance.
Especially with now the advent of automated parking. So you could tell your car exactly where to park so that thing can actually snap in. And then, makes sense. So this thing is coming in the late summer of 2026. So we're still a little bit ways away from this coming to the US. It's going to start at $109,000, not cheap either.
Yeah.
And $163,000 if you want the nice turbo version.
Gonna wait for the used one.
Me too. It's a little bit outside of my price range. But great looking car.
Yeah.
And the specs are crazy, obviously. All right. Also unveiled this week, the Jeep Recon EV, an off-road EV from Jeep, from Stellantis.
No doors. Doors extra.
Yeah, or I don't know if they're extra, but they are removable.
They're removable. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the pictures, all of this one. Okay, let's say most of the PR pictures are without the doors, because it is different. All right. 650 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.6 second, all-wheel drive powertrain with front and back 250 kilowatt motors. So that's interesting. That's new. Normally, you don't have the same capacity front and back.
That's going to be a fun vehicle.
Yeah. I'm curious to drive that. Souped-up suspension with standard 33-inch tires, 9.1 inches of ground clearance. Jeep's signature Select Terrain traction management system is in there with 5 different drive mode, including rock mode, auto, sport, snow, sand. What else do we have in there? Design is cheap. It's nothing too crazy. They are sticking with a lot of analog buttons, but still have the giant screen. It's the go-to move these days. 26-inch usable screen space, including 12.3 driver displays and 14.5 infotainment system. Nice, lie flat back when with both the trunk and the second row.
Good for camping.
Yeah. 65.9 cubic feet of rear cargo space in that situation here with the second row seat down. Premium Alpine audio system, a nice little 105 kilowatt hour battery in there. They're only quoting 250 miles of range on that thing, so not the most efficient. And if you want the Moab trim, this go down to 230 miles of range. So it's a vehicle for, it's basically an entry level off-roading vehicle that you have here with a big battery pack. NACS standard 5 to 80% in 28 minutes.
Solid.
Start at $65,000. So that's what I'm saying. Like for like bigger SUVs that are off-road capable, 65 is not exactly crazy for a price.
Yeah, I mean that's going to look good against the Rivian R1S at the moment.
Yeah, but probably closer to a R2 competitor, I would think. And the R2 should be
Which would
cheaper.
be much cheaper. Yeah.
But at the same time, Rivian is Rivian. They're gonna have an adventure version of it. Probably an off-road version of it, and those packages add up. So maybe that's gonna be competitive with that. Even though I think Rivian is gonna have it beat on the efficiency. With 250 miles of range on a 100 kilowatt battery pack is not great. Kind of weird. 2025. All right, Lucid at the Gravity Touring. So they had the Grand Touring already available. Now they are launching the Touring, so a little bit cheaper. It's not pure yet. I think they're gonna have a pure for the Gravity 2, but it's a little bit less range, a little bit less power. So 560 horsepower on an 89 kilowatt hour battery pack on a 700 volt system, NACS native. Charge up to 300 kilowatts on a 1000 volt. 500 volt station drops down to 225 kilowatts. 237 miles of range. Lucid is still top of the line when it comes to range. Version still has 4 seconds 0 to 60 time. Very good. You have 2 rows available with 5 passengers. You can also have the 3-row version for 7 passengers. What else changes? Not that much changes. The rest is very similar. Maybe the interior options a little bit, but man, it's a great looking car. I need to get in a Gravity soon. Like I've been in it, but I've never driven it yet. I'm supposed to get one soon in Montreal for us to drive. Looking forward to that. Oh, I didn't say the price, right? The price is $80,000 rather than I think $95,000 now for the Grand Touring. All right, we got showed here the Genesis GV60 Magma. So it's the new performance EV from Genesis. They tried to get like Mercedes AMD vibes, kind of performance luxury vehicle. Even though they already have the performance version with the Hyundai, the Ioniq N, I think is probably the closer competitor to this closer comparison. What do you think about the design set?
I don't hate it. I don't love it. Somewhere in the middle, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, maybe I think there's something really cool about it, but then there's something that clashes. And I cannot tell you why. I don't know if it's the proportions with the back. There's something that clashes for me, but I cannot pinpoint it. But the sum and goes, it looks really cool.
Yeah, some of these designs, like I noticed that once I get used to it, I'm better with it, but this is still too new to me to like make a judgment call on.
Mm-hmm. So on this, you get the 650 horsepower, 478 kilowatts, just like the powertrain in the Ioniq 5N, Ioniq 6N. 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, 124 miles in just 10.9 seconds. And it is coming to the US. So this one is coming to the US, which is nice. Okay, we don't have the price on this, but it's going to be more than the $72,000 GV60, which is currently available. So you can. Peter here is speculated 75, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's even a little bit more than that. Just my do not disturb on. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Still from Hyundai Genesis, this new vehicle was unveiled this week at the LA Auto Show. What's the name of that thing? The Crater concept. So it kind of has a vibe of Ioniq 5 Ioniq 5 with widened body. Sorry. And giant off-road wheels. I don't think they revealed a ton of information about that thing. Looks pretty badass in this picture here.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. I saw some videos of the inside that were more compelling.
Yeah, we do have that. We do have here. Yeah. The interior looks very much concept. Suicide doors. This giant tube dash.
Can you click on that?
Yeah, it seems to be attached.
Yeah, those dials
trap
part of that bar thing.
Yeah, it looks super concepty, to be honest. It's not something that's
and that you have the heads-up display that goes all the way across the screen.
Yeah, which looks fake as hell in there.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Yeah, Hyundai is it's testing things out. So they did the same thing at first with the Ioniq N.
Yep.
We're like, all right, they showed us like a crazy performance version of the Ioniqs, and then they actually made one that's very nice car that's a little bit more closer to Hurt. And I would assume, I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing here, where they do like an off-road version that's closer to reality than this concept, but still pretty cool. I would like to see that. All right, the last thing we're going to discuss before jumping into the comment section, if I can back up here. No, I cannot. All right, is this thing here. So I put it's basically an essay, a little writing exercise, a little op-ed on a sort of realization that I had when I was in China last week or the last 2 weeks, where I was just so impressed with Shenzhen and the fact that there was nothing there like 30 years ago. In the 80s, there was 30,000 people in the city. Within 3 decades, 17 million people, arguably the most technology advanced city in the world. And I'm like, how did they get there? And obviously the quick one is like cheap labor. And there's certainly some of that, and we're not going to lie. But I visited a bunch of factories in China, and cheap labor is not the thing anymore. I mean, I'm sure it's part of certain industries and everything, but in the Shenzhen's industry, which is DJI drones, electric car with BYD, a bunch of other companies, batteries a big one. It's not there. I visited those factories, and people are on their phone watching things until a robot starts beeping, and then they come up to the robot and fix the robot. It's all highly automated. But as I was standing there, there's a picture where I was standing in Baishan Park, which overlooks Shenzhen. Shenzhen has kind of a LA kind of vibe to a certain degree, where they have a big mountain in the middle, kind of the Hollywood Hills, and then if you're on the top, on one side you see like the valley, and the other side you see downtown LA, Santa Monica, Hollywood, and all that. But in Shenzhen, in LA, if you look on the valley side, it's a city, but it doesn't really. It's not
the valley.
Yes, for example, on that top of the Baishan Park mountain, you look on this side, and I'm looking at right now. You look on the other side. You look at any side, and it looks like that. It looks like
right.
Crazy metropolitan area. Like this in Tokyo has been the most impressive city landscape I've seen. And from this point of view, you could see at the distance these giant ultra high voltage power lines that China has built coming over the mountains and into the city, just powering the whole city, making this light show that is the night sky in Shenzhen every night. And I started thinking how one of the main things that built that is cheap electricity in high volume. And we've seen it here. Like if you see, I put a bunch of charts here. Here you have new electricity generation, changes in electricity generation over the last 12 months. And you see the total over half is China. Then this is the US in comparison, which is less than a third of China's deployment. Solar, they also more than half of the world. Wind, they are 3/4 of the world. 3/4 of the world in new nuclear power. and then they were a little bit up on gas, about a third of the world deployment, a little bit down on hydro. The rest of the world is also down on hydro. Coal, they're way down. They do put more coal plants in there, but decommission more of them that they put new on. The new one that they put is mostly like peaker plants that they put there. They have been a little bit lagging behind when it comes to battery energy storage. So that's one of the things that China is lagging behind. But they are now going all in on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that going away altogether, and wind and solar going up even more than it already has. They have 56% of the nation's total installed capacity was renewable energy last year, meaning 85% of all the demand. They are deploying. Look, this is the total electricity generation in the U.S. set. So from 2000. We were just below in the U.S. 40,000 terawatt hour. Now we are a few hundred terawatt hours over that in the last 25 years.
We're efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. Well, I mean, there's something to
There's something to that. Yeah.
If you have less electricity generation, you're kind of forced to become more efficient. Look at China. Meanwhile, at the same time that the U.S. was at around 4,000 terawatt hour, they were at about 1,000, and now they are at 10,000.
Wow.
But speaking of efficiency, though, this is still less electricity per capita than the U.S.
That just shows how big China is. How many people?
Exactly. But obviously, the trend is what is important here, and the trend is absolutely insane. It's going up like crazy. So what got me thinking a little bit is I was there and I was talking to people. I was talking about how they see electricity there. Like you walk in the street in Shenzhen, it's electric scooters everywhere, which they call electric bikes, by the way. But they have a similar situation with the US and what they call a bike, what they don't call a bike, and they are a lot more relaxed with the laws there. Everybody's like buy something that looks exactly like a full-size electric scooter, but they call it a bike, and it's capped at 25 kilometers an hour. And then you just change a few buttons, and it goes to 45, and then that's it. So everybody is driving that right in Shenzhen. Then you have electric cars everywhere. Then you have electric buses everywhere. Then you have electric trucks everywhere. And what those electric trucks do, they carry around batteries to bring to these electric scooter shop, and then they charge them there, plug them back in, send them out. They have charging station everywhere. 1,000 kilowatt charging station, which is insane. It's everything is electric there, and China is seeing it, and it's increasing its electricity generation like crazy, while the rest of the world is just slowly dragging its feet to do the same thing. And it got me thinking a concept that I think they kind of figured out that the new base layer of economy, let's say currency, even though it's not exactly a currency, but the base currency is becoming electricity. Because not only when everything in the industry is going electric, like transport, like households, like industries, but now with the advancement of AI, almost every decision goes through an LLM system at one point, which LLMs at the core, they are data centers, they are electricity. At their core, they are powered by electricity. And if everything becomes electric, well, the currency of civilization become at a certain point electricity. Because if you go back to the old history of humanity before, governments start printing money, controlling things with the fiat money, and now we have crypto also. For most of history, the currency was the real productive output of a person. So whether actual resources that you choose to output, like grains, like gold, like livestock, or actual productive output, like your horses, like the Comanche, your wealth was how many horses you have,
right?
And unfortunately,
how many calories you possess.
Yeah, and to a degree, that's what grain is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, too, it was slave for a big part of humanity. That was your wealth was your slave, which was also your productive output to a certain degree. Now we've moved to this centralized, fiat currency. But if all productive output comes from electricity now, while the base currency becomes electricity, that becomes what is your potential output as a person, as a country, as a company. Everything comes from that at the beginning. And I think, this is basically the change from the petrodollar to the electrodollar. And we've seen China making that move, and we should take note in the West, because if we don't, I think we're going to be left behind. And one of the things why I keep going back to calling it like the currency, even though I understand it's not exactly that, even though it's measurable, divisible, storable, universal, it has all the qualities of a currency, and unlike fiat and crypto, it's linked to productive output. It's not about politics, it's not about inflation, it's just physics. And China seems to have seen that through all the electricity generation deployment that they've been doing, as we just discussed. But also, like, people see the next currency as being crypto right now. There's a $3 trillion market cap on crypto, though it's going down by the day quite fast. China is not doing that. China has banned crypto a few years ago, both crypto mining, which literally burns electricity to create basically what is a ledger that has no stored value whatsoever. So you burn the value to create like a paper receipt of the actual value, which is only what the next moron is willing to pay. So that kind of burst my crypto bubble, even though I've never been like a big crypto guy, kind of burst my crypto bubble. And they banned mining of it because it's a big energy waste. Yep. And they also banned trading it for a Chinese citizen because they don't want their Chinese citizen to get involved in what could, blow up in their face quite soon. So the way I see it, basically, and the problem with the crypto is that there's value to it to a certain degree, and the blockchain makes sense. The blockchain is a technology that I think everyone agrees has value. So the problem with crypto is that people assign that value to cryptocurrency also, which is just an application of blockchain, not blockchain itself. So you fall in a trap of like you recognize some value there, but you, instead of assigning it to the core technology, which is the blockchain, you assign it to crypto, which is a lot shadier. And yeah, the way I see it, blockchain could exist on top of the electricity layer as basically a ledger of your electricity distribution, production, and utilization. And China, again, seems to have seen that too, because even though they do ban crypto exchanges and crypto mining, they did approve they call it the digital yuan. I think I posted somewhere here. Yeah, the digital yuan and the blockchain technology behind it. So they're already doing that. So yeah, I basically put that together just to get people thinking about this, and we got a lot of good comments on it. So I wanted to share it on the podcast to see what you guys think about it. But that's pretty much it for my little rant on that, and we can see what you guys think.
It's certainly interesting. I mean, it is especially in the realm of crypto, with the backdrop of crypto, because people are spending so much energy on actually making crypto, and like, will these things, especially after if we have computing that can crack the RSA encryption, and I know Bitcoin can be updated, but we have all these like outstanding Bitcoins that are easily crackable. So like, there's a lot of questions about crypto. Yeah. And then, like, is crypto actually going to have some value in the future, or is energy going to be and can you actually store energy like in a battery or some other form, or can there's no wallet for energy. You have to have like a huge battery. Or
I get that. That's not the way I'm really thinking about a currency. Currency kind of maybe an oversimplification of it.
No, I think it's the closest. I agree with
it's close enough. But your point is correct. Like it's not like you're gonna have a giant battery at home and then you can just send your energy to something. But like if we talk about universal income, for example, then it could make sense that some of your universal income comes from an energy allotment that you get, and then what do you do with this energy allotment? And then you can choose to live a more efficient life and not use as much for your personal life, and then do something else with it, whether it's through artificial intelligence, which you're going to need it, or somewhere else. Obviously, in China, one of the biggest advantage of that, which we also have in Quebec, to be fair, is that the entire grid is controlled by the state too. So the state controls the electricity generation for the most part, but all of the electricity distribution and everything. So that helps for that front if we do end up in this kind of universal income future due to AI, which I'm not the most optimistic guy about AI, but if we do have a future as human with AI, it will have to have a component that includes universal income, and just sound kind of obvious. So yeah, I think for something like that, I think electricity could make sense to be part of it.
Yeah, and there's like this whole idea of like, if you have solar panels on your roof and you're generating electricity and sending it to the grid and you get some money for that, like that's a lot better system than, you're spending electricity on computer cycles to generate these, RSA codes for Bitcoin. Like you're actually creating something of value, that you tangible value. And so maybe people start gaming that and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of solar panels and I'm going to, set up a rig. And so I like this way of thinking. I think I've heard some other people talk about this as a thing. So this is like the clearest, example of that concept I've seen. So I love this.
Nice.
All right. Should we get in the comments?
Yes, sir.
All right. Greetings from the Bronx. Not too far from me here. Happy holidays. I guess everybody's shopping. It's not quite Christmas yet. We got Thanksgiving blockend.
When is Thanksgiving in the U.S. now? It's
like the last week. It's about another week from yesterday, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to Cuba, by the way. So
Yeah.
Friday might be a little bit. Next week might be interesting.
We'll figure it out.
All right. We got Victoria, BC in the house. Antonio Hollyville 104. I've had FSD since 2018. I travel to work Monday through Friday to the Bronx, close to 120 miles round trip. Jeez. Not counting errands, etc. I find it very useful, but still you can't stop paying attention to the road.
Exactly my experience.
Yep.
Well, I don't do 125 round trips a day, but yeah.
All right. What's on fire today, boys? Hopefully nothing, but
yeah.
That being said, any system that keeps the car in cruise control and center lane is very useful on long highway drives. Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus now on FSD, is where it's a very nice tool, but it's not full self-driving.
As long as you don't become complacent, it works.
All right. Did FSD crash into a bus stop full of people? Hopefully not. Hopefully it won't. Sleeping safety monitor is 100% proof that level 3 is a useless model. You cannot pay attention if you are not the driver. Science proved it decades ago. Takes more effort to stay attentive in AV. It's a lot right there. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with it. I don't think level 3 is useless. Like the GM approach makes sense. The approach that GM is talking about is like, okay, you cannot go to sleep, but you can focus on something else, and then we'll tell you when you can take control. But there's going to be a period of time with that. It's like it sounds like it's going to be less than 10 seconds, but less than 10 seconds if you are awake and in your driver's seat is really not a big deal. Like literally 3 seconds is plenty of times, but probably going to be closer to 5 or 8, whatever. But and that there's value in that. If GM is going to be willing to take responsibility during that time, and prove before that, obviously, that they are safer than humans for these specific situations, then yeah, there's value. I want to be doing that. I want to do an hour trip on the highway where I'm doing emails. Like, it's nice.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, and then eventually sleeping. All right, Antonio. Also, the better it gets, the more frustrating that it is not even level 3 yet. I know that feeling.
Yeah, that's specifically Tesla. Tesla has decided to skip that altogether.
But it was nice when they went from having to hold the wheel to eyeballs only. That was it
was an improvement in driver monitoring system, which is always welcome.
Dimebag Darren, Waymo, so much mayhem.
Is there?
Yeah. All right. Having fallen asleep before on the highway, I would be happy to have FSD driving the car for 10 seconds for me if I nodded off. It is not ideal, but the other side is having the ADAS too intrusive.
Yeah, the balance here is like, obviously you're right. It was better to have that in your situation and not have it. Where it becomes problematic is like, does having it increases the chance of you doing that? And that's where things become messy. Is like, you might not be actually decreasing the incident rate if that happens, you see, or you be creating another accident that the one of the contributing factor is the FSD system, because the FSD system made you go drive drowsy or whatever. So it's not as simple as like, oh, of course I wanted that, otherwise I would have crashed. It's like, yes, but there's an important second part to this.
All right, let's move on. Carl in San Diego. Porsche is confusing. Waffle so hard on commitment to electrify. Very hard company to go electric because buyers are passion driven, not necessarily practical. If you don't commit to e-buyers, commit. E-buyers won't either. I don't know if I agree with that. Like Porsche's been pretty good about electrifying the Taycan.
The
The
delay
Macan.
though, there was delays to it.
A lot of delays.
Yeah. So
But I
they've
think
been
they're trying.
slower, but the results are nice. Like you really love the Cayenne EV. We were being fan of the Taycan, and now they have the Cayenne. No, I mean, I think they're going in the right direction. It's like they've just been some delays.
Yeah, and they're certainly nice vehicles.
Yeah, they're delivering, and I do understand Carl's point though. But you know, one thing that I think is going to help a ton with that is Ferrari. Once Ferrari come out with their car next year, it's like there's no harder customer to satisfy when it comes to like moving from a combustion engine to electric than Ferrari. So if Ferrari can show like we can do it, it's like no one has excuses now. Like you can convert your customers to electric. You want to make the best car in the world right now, you have to make it electric.
Agree. All right. FSD will warn you once it detects your eyes have closed. That is true. If my kitty walks between the charging pad and the ground in the car, will they get electrocuted?
No.
If there are mice in the garage, can I put food on the charge pad to kill off all the mice?
This guy doesn't know how the tip charging works at all. It's pretty safe.
I agree the inductive charging is not an $8,000 problem, but I bet Porsche will get a high buy rate just for the high-tech status cred.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Right.
So a lot of really rich people will throw $8,000 a problem that could be probably fixed better with $500, but don't want to think about it.
Yeah, especially the non-techie people that just want to, you know, I do wonder, like they have that system for like pulling in the exact right spot over the thing. I wonder if like that extra time period that it takes to like get right over is quicker than just plugging it in.
You might be right about that, because like I park my car by myself, like, and I'm pretty fast at it. I just back up in my garage. I know exactly how to do it. Even though my garage is full of stuff right now, I still like do it super quickly, and then I plug it in a seconds. If I would back in with the auto park system right now, it would take much longer.
Yeah. All right, Rivian Adventure Charging Network, is that a thing or just a forgotten promise? There's certainly a lot of Rivian chargers around, but they're not growing anywhere near the size of Tesla.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's just the I don't think they hit their promise in terms of actual deployment, but they're still out there, and they try to focus more on the adventure side of things. So they try to position themselves in places where there are no chargers and could be useful if you want to go to a certain area. So there's that, but though it's not the case everywhere, to be honest. Some of them are just, pure like city to city travel.
Yeah, now they got to move them to NACS slowly.
Yeah, that too. That probably slows things down a bit too.
All right, Carl in San Diego, that Genesis looks like a guaranteed speeding ticket for a multitude of reasons, as if insurance on EVs and pricey cars wasn't high enough. I don't know if that's the case. I guess orange.
Yeah.
Attracts police.
Bertie, that's true. That the red and orange, they do attract police a little bit more.
All right, Dimebag Darren, will Chinese EVs and power plants be built to the same rigorous standards as Chinese bridges? Yes, there was a Chinese bridge recently collapsed.
There was some misinformation apparently about that, where it's not like the bridge didn't collapse by itself. There was a giant natural mudslide on one of the side of the bridges, of the bridge that did hit. It was like a natural disaster that basically hit the side of the bridge, and the bridge collapsed. Now, I'm no geologist or whatever. I mean, I'm sure that you have to do also studies about just how safe or each side of where your bridge land. So maybe there was some kind of thing on that, but my understanding is that there was not an engineering problem with the bridge itself. It's a mudslide that hit the side of one of the end of the bridge.
All right, Lakers Sale Lex says, Fred, your geography knowledge of Los Angeles is impressive. Are you a secret local?
I did live there for 2 years. I wouldn't call myself a
Was
local,
it
but
2 years?
yeah,
Wow.
2019 and 2020, I spent most of those 2 years there.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Until like the end of I stayed like a good 4 or 5 months after COVID hit. So most of
and
2020, and
I've spent some time there too. About a decade.
Yeah,
USC.
we know LA.
We know LA. This is a Yavon's paradox. If you make tech more efficient but do not regulate used purchasing, you will outpace the efficiency gains with wasteful overuse of that tech. Computers are the most obvious. Okay, I have to look into that.
I mean, I think the main idea behind just like rolling out of high level of electricity generation is that now it's become like the main subsidy for China. Like they're using it with the AI, where they tell people they're gonna have half electricity rates to run data centers that are run with Chinese chips. So that's a way to incentivize things. Like, we have a ton of electricity and pretty cheap right now. Okay, we'll take away our profit on it, but you'll do something that we want as a country. So that's the main incentive rate. And to be fair, all countries do that. Most countries, the US does that. We do that in Canada too, where you use a discounted rate as an incentive.
All right, it's very hard to talk about energy policy without talking politics, especially when the three biggest superpowers are USA, China, and Russia.
I mean, I don't want to come out as like some kind of big China glazer here. Like I'm not thrilled about China buying Russian oil. I'm going to be quite obvious with about that. I also understand that when you talk about cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Shanghai, they are super impressive, more impressive than Western cities, in my opinion. But they also have the darker side of things in the rural regions, which is a lot closer to third world than the rest of China, obviously. So yeah, I understand. But at the same time, go to Appalachia, go to some rural region of the U.S., and it's pretty third world too.
All right, EVs are absolutely guilty of this, and I'd argue that Tesla was at the tip of their spear for ignoring efficient use of resources, first electric efficiency in Model S and X, but also in battery resources. I don't know. I think Tesla's pretty efficient. Like their vehicles are quite efficient.
I think the gap is getting smaller and smaller every year, but it was so big that I think against everyone other than Lucid, Tesla has efficiency advantage. My friend Bastien has a Cybertruck, and so he just got it a few months ago. So it's his first winter with it, and he was actually very impressed now with the temperature dropping down, just how efficient it is. However, he doesn't have his winter tire just yet, so I'm sure his efficiency is going to go down quite a bit with the winter tires, which you need, by the way.
Yeah, we just put winter tires on the Chevy Bolt, and the mileage went down like 50 miles.
Yeah. I mean, and you need them. Like, you don't want to be crashing. And it's just I got my girlfriend back at the bus station earlier, and I saw three crash on the highway. Like three people that were on the side of the road.
In a sense, electricity as a currency has been happening for years, though net metering plans for solar.
Yeah, no, definitely net metering has been part of that movement, let's say.
I wonder what economist Yanis Varoufakis would say about the kilowatt currency concept. In a sense, electricity as a currency has been taking place for years as net metering with home solar.
Yeah, that's right.
Yanis has spoken about what you just said about the blockchain tech more important than crypto.
Yeah, I think that was obvious. That's obvious to most people that are tech oriented. But then you make the mistake as like, okay, what are the blockchain application right now? It's like crypto is the main one by far. So you're like, all right, so blockchain good, crypto good, and I fell into that hole myself. By the way, I did invest in crypto quite a bit. Now I'm almost fully out of crypto, and I've been, I mean, basically since the Trumps went all in there, I started investing from. Every time the Trumps get into something, I'm like, oh, okay, time to back out. So now I'm fully divested from Bitcoin, but I still have some Ethereum, which I think is a little bit smarter in terms of the blockchain applications of it. And yeah, that's it.
All right. More on Giannis as a book in which capitalism, and we talked about this a little bit. I like the idea of energy as currency because electricity has real world functions and value. I agree, as opposed to crypto, which uses tons of energy but provides no real helpful work for the energy consumed.
Yeah, there's usability improvement with crypto over fiat. There's the decentralization advantage of it. So there's advantage, but you're right. There's no actual value link, and you can say the same thing to a degree with fiat money, other than being backed by debt, government debt. But then you're at the mercy of political decision and inflation, which we're seeing now go out of hands in Japan, for example. That situation becomes scary, and it could be a domino effect that affects all the world. So yeah, crypto might sound like a safe haven from that, but in practice, we're not seeing that. We're seeing Bitcoin in the last year trade with the market. It trades as a security. So its only value is the value that the next moron is willing to pay for it. You could say the same thing about all securities, other than the fact that other security, like if you buy Tesla right now, which I think is overvalued, you pay the price that someone is willing to sell you at, and then it's worth what you're going to sell it at some other people at. And I think that price right now is way higher than it should be, but it's still based on the real business with real assets, even though declining earnings and all that. Electricity is electricity. It has a ton of different functions. You can argue it's better than gold in that sense, because even though the scarcity aspect is not the same, you have more things you can do with electricity than you can do with gold. So there's and I'm not saying that gold is bad. I think that gold is still a better standard than fiat or crypto, but it's different.
All right, Corey thanks me for no longer eating during the podcast. I did have some almonds. Enjoyed some almonds the other day. I didn't hit the mute button. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments on YouTube last week of that.
So, gotta save my snacking for afterwards. Yeah. All right, there was a failure to assess the stability of the side of the gorge bridge that was anchored into engineering boo-boo.
Okay, yeah. So there might have been something going on there.
Yeah. If electricity becomes currency, will we see limits on the free movement of electrons and parity on pricing? I don't think we'll see limits on the free movement of electrons. That's it'll be a free market.
So that's the other advantage of electricity, is like, yes, for the most part, it is centralized, distribution is controlled, but is there a law that stops you from having a battery and solar at your home? Nope. Is there a law that prevents you from having battery and windmill, like a small windmill? No. You can even if you have like your own stream at your house, you can do like hydro. There's freedom to that. Like, and I think that's the biggest aspect. But on the other side, Lakers Celtics is right. Like the most electrons are controlled and centralized and limited for sure.
Would you expect some Hawaii or Puerto Rico or similar island be 100% renewable? I think there's a few Hawaiian small islands that are already 100% renewable.
You're right.
There's an island in Rhode Island, what is it called? That just went 100% windmill. Nice. Block Island in Rhode Island is 100% renewable. So that's already happening. Puerto Rico certainly isn't. None of the Caribbean islands, I don't think, are yet. But that's going to happen, and for no other reason that shipping diesel to the island is just not clean and not efficient at all. So
yeah, it's expensive.
Solar
but
panels,
it's also it's less expensive than the big front end capital expenditure of going renewable. So that's
Right.
the problem.
That's
So and those are not very rich, other than Hawaii. I don't know per capita how rich Hawaii is, but definitely Puerto Rico is not very rich. So it's expensive. It's going to take time, but it's fully doable and could happen faster than most people think.
Yeah, I think home solar is so huge in Hawaii because the energy is so expensive because you got to ship diesel fuel all the way out there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look into that. When
Mhm.
will the electrons my solar panels produce be priced at the same as gas burning power plant? So that's the controversy, right?
Yeah, I mean, priced, it's whatever you can sell it at. So if for sure, if they have more gas burning plants producing a lot cheap electricity, they're not going to want to pay more for your solar panel energy. But that's not what we're seeing right now. On the contrary, we're seeing solar being cheaper than fossil fuel plants. So
Yeah, and also it'll kind of force carbon capture credits or taxing of, because people will just burn, right through all the fossil fuels to make
yeah, there's limits.
electricity. So look at early Tesla Model XS versus early Bolt i3 Fiat 500e. Tesla sucked. Model 3 changed that. My point is that they didn't give a crap about efficiency when they brought out Model X and S.
Okay.
I mean,
We're
I wouldn't
specifically
I wouldn't
talking.
say they didn't care. I would just
Yeah.
say they weren't great at it yet. I think they got better at it. I mean,
Yeah.
Model S had huge wheels. It was a huge vehicle.
They also were going for more like luxury, like no compromise and everything. So they didn't
Right.
mind going with bigger battery packs. Yeah, there was a lot of things going on.
All right. UK values electricity based on a scheme that favors carbon-based energy production.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
not
know
good.
that.
Regulation limits the ability of electricity to function as a currency, and in many markets favors carbon over solar.
In
That's
some markets, I don't know if I would say many markets, but yeah, I mean, my why I posted this article and why we talked about it on the podcast. I just think people should be aware of the situation in China right now, and um, I think they should think about electricity a different way as like the base economic layer of our generation right now. I think nothing happens without it. So I think we need to be prepared, because especially in the US right now, with all the talk about all these data centers, and they're going to consume so much electricity. It's and if you don't have a China moment where you start deploying like crazy, everyone's rates are going to go up, like everyone. And the poor people gets hit the harder when the electricity rates goes up. It's a bigger part of their budget. It's a problem. So it needs to be addressed, and to reframe the way we talk about electricity as not just like one of your many bills, but as the base economic layer of our civilization. I think is a better way to approach it. That's it. All right, that's it for us this week. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. Next week, Seth is going to Cuba, so we're going to have to figure something else. I don't know if we're going to make the podcast a different time or it's going to be just me. We'll figure it out and we'll let you guys know closer to the date. If you do enjoy the Electrek podcast, please give us a like, a subscribe at whatever app you're watching right now. If you're listening on the podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating, only if you think we deserve it. That helps the show more than you think. It's free to do. It takes a second, and we appreciate when you do. We'll see you same time. Well, maybe not same time.